Hi, how are you? I'm Dawn Pierce with Southern Instructional Solutions. Today, we're going to talk about the different syllable types. This is going to be an 8-part video series on the syllable types, and I'm going to show you my primary lesson for this, for the primary grades. I do have more middle school, high school lessons that teach you the same thing, but it doesn't look so primary. So we're going to go ahead and get started. What you will need is an interactive notebook, just a composition notebook. I like to use highlighters, pencils, and basically that's it. So I'm going to go to my document camera and share screen with you so that we can get started. And I usually, I'm mostly tutor, well, I wouldn't say mostly. I am at the high school level right now, but I also tutor one-on-one. So when I'm tutoring one-on-one, I ask my students what color highlighter they want to use to give them a little buy-in. But since it's just us, I'm going to use green. I know you know me. So we're going to start off with our title. It's going to be called Syllable Types. Sometimes I slip and call it syllable patterns. They're actually two different things, but I think of them as so similar. Anyway, so let's title Syllable, S-Y-L-L-A-B-L-E, and types, because there are 7 common syllable types. Some are teaching 6. I don't know if anybody's teaching more, but we're going with the most common ones. And then this is going to be a two-page spread lesson. So we're going to need 2 of these page setups, which we'll get to in a minute. We're going to count down 2 lines. So top line 1, second line down 2. It makes it easy for your students to follow along if you count lines with them. If you're in the classroom, you should have a notebook to demonstrate with your students. And then you can, demonstrate with the document camera on the whiteboard with them, or just kind of hold it up and have them follow along with you. Right down the middle, like that. Left side, fold it in. And then trace this line. So basically, we're going to be doing notebook setup today with a little bit of introduction for our first video. And the right side. And we're going to repeat this lesson, this setup, I should say, on the next page. So turn it and let's label it again, syllable types. And we're going to trace it. Now, depending on your grade, you might not need all of this, but you'll see the whole thing, and then you can judge it after that to see how far you go with your grade. And then let's trace this line on the left side. And then let's do the right side. Okay, and since we're going to be focusing on the 7 syllable types, I use this left side for some instruction from introductory instruction. So our first syllable type will go in this spot here. So let's count down 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, and then trace this spot over right like that. So that's where our first syllable type will start. And then we're going to turn the page and then trace that line all the way through, right like that. Okay. And this lesson will take many, many sessions to get back to, but we're just, like I said, this is going to be notebook setup and introduction. So when I talk to the students about syllables, often when I'm tutoring, they're in tutoring for a reason, and they're not usually able to tell me what a syllable is. So I might give them a hint, and I'll say a syllable is like, think of your name, and maybe you've clapped out words before. So your name is, let's say your name's Daniel, or pound it, Daniel. So Daniel, your name Daniel has 2 syllables in it. So now what's a syllable? And they're like, oh, it's like the pieces or the parts to your name or a word. So yes, let's get your blue highlighter. And a syllable is a part of a word, part of a word. And there might be like a more scientific definition to it, but remember who our audience is. And these syllables, just so you know, they have a vowel in them, or they might have like some kind of vowel team combination in them. And that's how you know, like, you've got 2 vowels, you've got 2 syllables if they're separated. So it's a part of a word, and it's going to have a vowel on that side somehow, or a vowel combination or a vowel team or something. So we're going to be learning syllable types. So a type of a syllable is a kind of a syllable. So a vowel type is a vowel kind of syllable. And these kinds of syllables have very specific patterns to them. They follow a pattern. So these types of syllables or kinds of pattern, kinds of syllables follow a pattern. Now, what's a pattern? And so they're like, oh, a pattern is something that repeats, like a circle and a square and a circle and a square. So those patterns repeat. So I'm going to be teaching you today how these syllables, or these parts of words that are certain types, certain kinds, are patterns in our English language. And once we know these types of syllables, they're going to be repeating in these words as you try to read them and as you notice them. And they are always follow the same kind of syllable patterns. You're going to always follow the same rules to read them, and it's going to help you read larger words. You're going to have a strategy to help you read larger words. So you're going to see what they look like in a syllable, and when you get to large words that have many syllables together, you're going to have a plan on how to read those words if you don't know how to read them. So that's why we're doing this. And basically there's 7 types of syllable patterns. Now, if you happen to try to read the word and it's not making sense, maybe it's not really following one of these patterns. And then maybe it's coming from some other language, because English is made up of many different languages. So that could be a possibility. And so it's not following one of our usual English patterns and making it a little bit of a challenge for you. So then you might have other strategies you would have to try. So basically we have 1, 2, 3, turn the page, 4, 5, 6, 7 syllable types that we're going to learn. And we're going to start to notice these patterns in our words to help us decode and read these words a little bit better in our English language. Now, each of these syllables are going to have some kind of vowel or vowel unit in them. So let's talk about vowels. So V is going to stand for vowel, because I'm not going to write the word vowel every time I want to talk about a vowel. I'm just going to code for a V that stands for vowel. So tell me what the vowels are and see what they say. And you want them to respond in order. So if they just start hopping around and saying I and O and all these, random letters out of order, okay, good. Now, can you tell me in order, what's the first vowel? And then let's get them in order. So we want A and E, I, O, U, and you might have a student who says Y. So, oh yes, Y is sometimes a vowel. So let's put a cloud around it. I'm going to take my blue highlighter and put a cloud around it, because Y is special. It is sometimes a vowel. Sometimes it might say I or E. I don't know if it says anything else. I think those are, the main vowels. Okay, for a Y. Let's talk about if it's not a vowel, What might it be? And we call that a consonant. So we're going to label that with a letter C. Let's go to our blue highlighter. So C is going to be for consonant, and we're going to use the letter C to represent that. C equals CONSONANT. That's a long word. So help the little ones to read it. Consonant. So if it's not a vowel, it's a consonant. So those are all those other letters in the alphabet that are not vowels. So let's look at an alphabet strip and start to name our consonants. So A says A for apple, and we have it right there as a vowel. So we're not going to write it as a consonant because it's not a consonant, it's a vowel. So what about B? B says B like that. It's not a vowel, it's a consonant. We're going to write it right here. What about C? It says K for cat. It's not a vowel. Let's write it. It's a consonant. What about D? It says D for dog. It's not a vowel. And then you're just going to keep going through that list and let them look. And for tutoring, my students have one of these also, so they can look at it and point at it along with me. Yep, that's a vowel. What about F? And I'm just going to keep going through this list pretty quickly right now, but you would go rather slowly with your students. I and J, K, L, M, N. O is a vowel. P, Q, R, S, T, U is a vowel. V, W, X, Y, and Z. And of course, they might say, oh, but Y is up there as a vowel. Yes, but sometimes it's also a consonant. So it can go both ways. So we have to know the difference between our vowels and our consonants when we're talking about syllable types, especially because we're going to be coding in this lesson with V's and C's, and they need to know what that means whenever we're doing this lesson. And basically that is going to be video number 1 of this lesson. When you go to video number 2, we're going to talk about the first syllable type, which will be the closed pattern. But that's enough information to get started with your students. That's enough information that they can hold in their heads and go do a different lesson with them, because little bits of information at a time is the best way for them to remember what you're talking about, because at this point, they're already thinking about something else. So anyway, that's enough for now. I'll see you in video number 2 for syllable types. Thank you very much. Bye.